Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the Collegiate Hearthstone National Championship. I'm still Robert Wing, still joined by the man, the myth, the legend, Complexity Noxious. Noxious.
That's me.
Yeah, we've had two really exciting series tonight. One series that was really good down to the wire. The other that saved a relationship.
Yeah, I mean, I can't feel bad for that guy, right?
Yeah.
He did say, though, and he misled us, that he did it for the memes. I don't mind the memes, but I felt like I was rooting for a guy that just lied to me at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure I can trust Texas A&M anymore.
Nah, I'm done.
All right, well, you actually can't be done. You have to. You're contractually obligated to cast this last series.
Okay, sure.
All right, well, let's go ahead and take a tweet from the audience. If you want to be one of the people having your tweets read, it's up at facebook.com. Go to Facebook to have your tweet read. And then go to Twitter at Team Tespa, and we might be reading your tweets and giving our ridiculous answers. So let's go ahead and take one from the audience. This is from Citrax HS. What is your best advice to climb in ranked play and to get into tournaments? Noxious, what do you got?
I mean, it depends when, right? Like, I think it's a matter of figuring out what the best decks are. Right now, the answer is play Shaman. The answer might change in a few months, but in a nutshell, if you want to climb the ladder very quickly, pick a deck that's pretty quick and has a pretty high win rate.
Sure.
That's usually what people will tell you. Now, for HCT points specifically, we're talking about a very end of the season grind where a lot of the top players are kind of competing in the past, like the last few days, to get the top 10 legend,
Sure.
which is what they want to be getting for the max points. And at that point, it becomes a matter of grinding and grinding and grinding until you get a hot streak, ideally with a slightly teched deck. Mostly aggressive these days, and actually the history of Hearthstone is basically plagued with aggressive decks that have good matchups across the board. And you can just pick your favorite one and do it. And now for tournaments, open tournaments are open. Like there's a bunch of them online. You can just find them. There are more than ever that give HET points, so just knowing that is already information you need. And as far as figuring out lineups, get in touch with other pro players.
Yeah.
I think communicating with other people in the scene is the first step.
Yeah, and just to pilot that on, understand that even though you're trying to be competitive and you're trying to get better, have fun with it. You got to find stuff that matches up with your style. He said Shaman. I would also say there are a lot of different classes right now that you can play on ladder.
Sure.
I had a pretty successful stint leveling up with anything Paladin, so there's a lot of different ways you can go about it. And yeah, I would say to his point, connect with people. Go on Reddit, go on the Play Hearthstone forums, talk with other people. Having the social network to back you up when you're talking about your games, like, oh, this is what I went through today, these were the matches I was seeing, and more importantly, being able to bounce ideas.
Right.
That's all stuff that, going back to the core of kind of what Tespa does with these gatherings, is getting together with other people and making game a social thing. And when you're having fun, the success comes a lot more easily than if you're not enjoying it.
Yeah, and it's all about teams too. Yeah, like if you go look at teams like any team, Team Alliance, for instance.
Sure.
There's communication going on, and some new decks emerge out of the ideas, and that's one of the best things about it.
All right. Well, thank you for your question. Glad we could be of service in answering you. And we're going to go ahead and hop into the third series of the evening. That's going to be University of British Columbia versus University of California, Berkeley. Based purely on icons, Noxious, who do you got?
Yeah, you got to go for Cal for sure because it's a hunter card, but I'm going to go with UBC because British Columbia is up in Canada, and that is the land from which I hail.
Yeah, nice try. I'm actually going with UBC because every time I roll Misha, I'm pretty upset.
Oh, really?
Well, it's not Huffer.
Oh. I don't mind.
Leok's good too.
Okay, I guess so. I guess you're right. Why did they pick the bear? Is it like the icon of their university?
It's pretty ferocious looking, but let's go ahead and get into University of British Columbia's roster. We have JMI, which is a lot like TMI, only it's just nothing.
JMI.
Yeah. It's just much information. Computer science major. We have Hick News, which I have to imagine is a play on Nick Hughes, with a psychology major. And, we can actually see the psychology in action. He's trying to psych us out.
Yeah.
And Alex the Great with civil engineering. Go ahead and take a look at these fine gents. We appear to be a man down, but looks like they're looking around for that third person. Handsome men from University of British Columbia.
Still missing the other guy with the blue shirt, though, which, are they brothers?
I don't know. They did look pretty similar, so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Well, let's go ahead and get a line on the University of California, Berkeley. It turns out, actually, that they are the Berkeley Bears, so that would now make sense.
That is what it is.
You have Jugu GG, industrial engineering major, Matagray, an economics major, and we close out the team with Klamos with a computer science major. So pretty good round of really smart scientific brain stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Well, these guys are ready.
Yeah.
They've got they're already set up in front of the camera, not making faces for us. Seem like they're looking at their phones. Well, I got some prep done.
Yeah, it's worth noting that Klamos actually finished top 30 in ladder in July. So, he's a guy who, no stranger to playing Hearthstone at a high level. Like, to finish top 30, you actually you know.
You have to play quite a bit.
You have to know your stuff.
Right, and especially right now, I think a lot of people would argue that the ladder is very volatile. So if you manage to secure a very high spot, then all the better for you.
Yeah, so we're going to take a look at the bans here. UBC has banned out their own Shaman, which is the second time we've seen this today. And Berkeley has banned out their Priest. So we were talking a little bit about this before the show. These are some interesting lineups here. We see UBC has left Paladin, Priest, and Warlock, and Berkeley has left themselves Mage, Warlock, and Shaman. What do you make of this?
Yeah, I think the Shaman self-ban, although it's very surprising, is reflective of an understanding that the Reno Mage and the Warlock ahead of them might be troublesome matchups.
Yeah.
If they've been built to heavily to tech against Shaman, and the Shaman mirror match is not necessarily one you want to be taking, as it's potentially not the best stats in terms of win rates. I would have probably still kept the Shaman, but it's personal preference. I think the Priest in their lineup might turn out to be slightly worse against the field than the Shaman they have, so I would have been more comfortable perhaps with that Shaman with a double Priest ban perhaps on both sides.
Yeah, and I do want to point out, in case you were curious at home, UBC is running a Murloc Paladin. So
yes.
Have to imagine that's any Fin. We just have Murloc Paladin submitted, but goodness, it could be something like Gadgetzan.
I have seen a mid-range hand buff Murloc-a-din. I don't know that that's something anybody would bring to a tournament, but it's been played on ladder a little bit.
I just want to point out, we had a Purify Priest last season, so...
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it happens sometimes.
Valfin Inquisitor, go.
Yeah. Well, okay, we're going to open with a Reno Lock Mirror, so hope you brought your sleeping bags. Maybe, some marshmallows, some s'mores for you and your friends. But this, settle in, this is a long one. Okay, so obvious differences here is, are both Reno Locks running the Leroy Jenkins suite, right? The big combo finisher. That is a huge thing to consider. Because if one is not, you have to assume the other has the edge. The one that is.
Right, exactly. Like, that combo is such a big deal breaker. Because otherwise you end up playing a very grindy game that goes in a very fair fashion to the player who can use their resources the best and lines them up in the correct order. Otherwise, you can get a blowout with Leroy Jenkins to the point where I'd say that Leroy Jenkins, the combo, when you sprinkle it into the deck, basically means, all right, hands off the wheel. I don't actually have to worry about what I'm doing right now. I've got this combo and it's over.
Yeah.
So it's a very simple way to close out a game that's otherwise very difficult, grindy, and grueling.
Yeah, so, we see that Berkeley is indeed running Leroy, and, it's not just unfortunate to have Leroy in your opening hand because, hey, you're not looking to use him yet, but you open yourself up to Dirty Rat.
Right.
If Dirty Rat pulls the Leroy, then suddenly Berkeley's just in an awful position.
Yeah, there's still a lot of room for live tapping into potential alternatives. For the time being, they're both looking for the Twilight Drake, the Mountain Giants, stuff to drop as early as possible to apply some pressure in the mid-game. It's not really going to be a huge determinant of who wins, but it gets the ball rolling, and you still need to live tap just to get to that combo. We still need to see if UBC is running it, as that is one of the few cards or differences that we haven't seen yet. Is there Leroy? Is there Faceless? Is there Power Overwhelming in there? What are we missing from UBC's deck?
Yeah, so much will be made clear, if they have that Fellfire Potion in there somewhere that we saw from University of Central Florida, those kind of random tech cards that maybe aren't necessarily as mainstream. But yeah, Berkeley at the moment has a pretty solid curve. You just go Mountain Giant. You could put in second-rate Bully if you want to. They got options.
Yeah. I mean, that's interesting because this is one of the matchups where playing a 5-mana 4/5 with Taunt is reasonable enough.
Yeah.
You don't need to play it for 3 mana. It would be great, but oftentimes in the matchup, if you play it for 3, it means it's going to die right away because they have 3 minions, and they tend to be pretty bulky. You're not running into 1/1s in that matchup.
Yeah, so going to be interesting to see how the resources are leveraged. We do see UBC has picked up the Emperor Thorsan, which you are looking for, but generally you want to be hitting combo pieces with it. In fact, it's pretty much exclusively that. Like, you want to be hitting the pieces you want to hit Leroy, Power Overwhelming, Faceless Manipulator. Those are the cards you want to be looking for, but it's undetermined as of yet if UBC is running it, although I think Thorsan probably tells you.
Right. I've seen some lists that are interesting using the Emperor in non-combo decks just as a means to make Jiraxis cost
that is a big deal.
8 mana, so you can hero power right away. It lets you sprinkle in a Soulfire on top to clean up the board more efficiently. So there's some merit to Emperor Thorsan even without the combo, but it's not nearly as common.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things where, when you're looking it over, the ability to just play Jiraxis and immediately make a 6/6 is so incredibly strong.
Yeah.
Now, in this matchup, if they're both running Leroy combos, we will never actually see Jiraxis.
It's usually a last-ditch effort if you've survived everything to just get a bit of more damage in. Otherwise, it sets you up for an insta-kill
maybe you play it on turn 9 if you haven't seen Emperor Thaurissan and you're just thinking, okay, I have Defender of Argus in hand, I have Sun Fury Protector. So to say you never play Jiraxis is maybe not as honest as we could be, but it's certainly in the late game quite the liability.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of matchups like this one actually being won on the back of a Jiraxis behind taunt, but you need to have the taunt already established. So we're assuming a very ideal scenario.
You also have to, dodge Twisting Nether. Like there's just a lot of things where you can open yourself up to kind of a bad time. But yeah, we were talking earlier how Reno Lock doesn't have a whole lot of cards that don't have specific uses. And we're kind of seeing it here because it's, what do you actually play down? And I want to point out, turn 4, no Mountain Giant played.
It's interesting to me that they wouldn't play the Ooze if they expect... So that means they're probably expecting to face off against Jiraxis, so they're not running combo and they'll have to answer it. I don't know if that's what it signifies, because this Ooze oftentimes doesn't find much in terms of value at any point in the game.
It might just be a little bit mechanical. Like it's one of those things where you have certain cards in your deck that you run for certain things, and you're like, okay, this puzzle piece goes here.
Yeah.
And maybe you're not necessarily thinking out like, okay, if I run into Jiraxis, I'm just going to kill him. So it's totally possible that is actually just what goes through your head.
Yeah, sure. It's just like a mechanical thing where the Ooze usually goes to Jiraxis, so you keep it.
Yep. Yeah, but we see the Peddler come out and Power Overwhelming. Second Power Overwhelming in the deck potentially. Well, we've seen Leroy, so that could actually be really big with Emperor Thaurissan.
Yeah.
In terms of increasing the range, because your opponent is playing around a range that they understand, which is 20 damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you suddenly jack it up to 28...
That's very different. That's a life tap away from max health. It's usually lethal
and you
under
really,
every circumstance.
You realistically don't play around it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not something you're considering. So, all right. Meanwhile, back over Cal Berkeley, you can just play down the second-rate bully, I think.
Yeah, I like the second-rate bruiser. I mean, it's a 4/5. It's not really going to get killed by anything aside from Shadow Bolt Coil. There's really not much.
It also contests Thaurissan. It basically makes playing the Thaurissan really bad. And,
exactly.
You're offloading cards out of your hand.
Even Sylvanas, for instance, yes, it does cause board tension, but because you've got the second-rate bruiser first, you're the one answering it and then getting initiative back. So I do like it. And you could also meme a little bit.
Speaking of memes, we have both teams playing Gul'dan, and then UBC themselves have become Gul'dan.
Have they? What happened?
Oh well, I assume they're having issues with the camera, but
thanks, Canada.
Wow, you said it, not me, man.
I said nothing of the sort.
You're the Canadian on the desk. You're allowed to say these kinds of things. I can't.
I'm thanking them. Yeah.
You didn't. I would almost say it's time for a very Canadian sorry, because that didn't seem like a very thankful thanks.
Your soul shall suffer.
Oh, sorry.
Isn't that how you say it?
Sorry. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, hopefully UBC isn't actually just having connection issues here. Hopefully they're just thinking over this turn while their camera's giving them problems. But this is definitely not an easy turn, because I don't think you're going to play Thaurissan. You don't have any of your combo pieces. You could play your own second-rate bully. Yeah, we'll see what happens. This could actually just be a good old-fashioned Canadian internet disconnect.
Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of internet you guys got up there? Google Fiber?
No, I don't have Google Fiber. I've got like 20 down, 60 up, 60 down, 20 up, I think.
Oh, Cal Berkeley's like, yeah, I got him. No, this is me every time I'm on ladder. Like, I'm watching that rope, and I'm like, oh, do we just get it?
Yeah, do we just get the first win? And then the very end second, the guy comes back. He's just like, drop a North Shark Cleric. No!
Look at Cal Berkeley. They're being reasonable. They're not just slamming a minion and ending turn. I'm just saying, sometimes you got to win.
Wouldn't fold them for it.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. Look, man, all that matters is scoreboard.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so let's see what happens here. It's totally possible UBC... No, UBC's done. I was going to say...
UBC is just completely out of this.
Uh-oh.
Where are they? Did we lose them completely?
UBC, if you're out there, blink twice. But I can't see, so never mind.
Oh, they just left.
All right, so it looks like there is, in fact, a technical error going on with UBC. And I don't know if we're awarding California Berkeley the win just yet. Oh, we are!
It looks like it's a game win.
That is going to be a game win for California Berkeley.
What a short Reno Lock mirror match.
People say that competitive doesn't really mirror ladder, but it
sometimes does.
Yeah, sometimes it just does.
Sometimes DC'd.
Yeah. I actually think we have an interview with Cal Berkeley.
What an amazing series!
How did you play it that well?
Yeah. I slammed the Defender of Argus. I just slammed it.
Yeah, you intimidate your opponent until they leave. So, yeah, I think that's if I'm hearing this correctly, I think it's going to do it for the series.
That's kind of awesome for California, not so much for Canada, I guess. That was a short-lived run.
What's up with that internet? No, you got to tell me.
There's nothing up with that internet. Maybe in British Columbia they've got problems. I'm fine. I'm fine where I mean, what?
I don't know.
What is this?
I don't know. In the meantime,
Like the Beaver is probably like.
Looks like we're going to go ahead and read some tweets. So hit us up at Team Tespa on Twitter. Head on over to facebook.com/Team Tespa. Let's go ahead and take a tweet from the audience. 550. If you can choose any dungeon raid from WoW to be put in a Hearthstone adventure, which would it be? Okay, so I'm just going to say Dead Mines. Dead Mines would be my choice.
I'm going to go with Maraudon.
What?
Yeah.
Nobody likes that.
Dude, I farm Nature Resist.
But how's that fun? Dead
AQ,
Mines, you could tell.
On Courage, I guess. It's like a follow-up.
Yeah, I understand.
don't know, man.
I'm pushing for like Edwin Van Cleef everywhere. Like I want one of the rogue alters to be like Edwin Van Cleef. I want Edwin Van Cleef in Heroes of the Storm. I'm just a huge Edwin Van Cleef guy.
The alternate rogue hero better be Vanessa Van Cleef or Garona.
That is another option. We have another tweet from the audience. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. At Doomsinger, hi Rob, congrats on working on the esports team and as a caster. What age were you when you decided to let your dreams be memes? Gosh, I was 26 and I was writing about basketball and I was like, well, this isn't going anywhere. And then I was like, I could write about video games. And much like writing about basketball, I was not getting paid to do this. So I just realized like, wow, this Twitter thing, I can just effectively post utter nonsense and 2 to 3 people really like it and true to form. A lot of my tweets over on, at Robert A. Wing get 2 to 3 likes per tweet. So, but in technical answer 26, Noxious.
Dem stats.
What do you think about being a dank memer?
I didn't choose. The memes chose me. I just, it happened. I didn't mean to be in the scene.
You didn't mean to be a handsome, funny man?
I actually started off making YouTube content back when we had the first trailer of Hearthstone.
I remember.
And we paused every frame of the trailer trying to glimpse cards, and then I saw them and I reviewed them.
Wasn't there like one character in each shot?
It was ridiculously. It was very, very slow.
This is like some conspiracy series.
It was very, very slow. Anyway, we data mined the trailer. Not really data mining, but ended up making reviews, and then eventually somebody said, you should start a stream, man. And I'm like, okay. Sure. And we started the stream when the beta came out, and ever since.
All right. It does look like we have British Columbia back, so we're going to go ahead and hop into Game 2. Cal Berkeley is still going to get the win for that particular game. So we're going to hop into Game 2, though, and hopefully, British Columbia can keep a working internet connection.
So I'll say something that's a little bit unfortunate here is that Warlock for UBC was probably a matchup they wanted to win at least once against. Because their priest wouldn't have been able to do anything against it. Like, I think their best chance was the Reno lock to lock out a game.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Feels like the rest of their matchups are still not looking very good. That priest will have to line up against the mage 100% of the time.
It's also doubly unfortunate because when we were watching that, it wasn't like any one Warlock was a clear favorite. I mean, I will argue that California Berkeley did have the second power overwhelming off the Dark Peddler, so that's definitely something you give them the edge.
Mm-hmm.
But, there was nothing definitive there. They were both kind of at the stage where they were just like jockeying for board position.
Right. Well, it's usually what the Reno Lock mid game tends to be. The thing is, we hadn't seen a single combo piece either from British Columbia, so they may still not have it at all. Right? They might have still not had a single combo piece. In which case, then California is hugely favored, even without the second PO.
Yeah. So, well, I think actually, no, wait. California Berkeley, we saw Leroy, right?
Right. And from British Columbia, we saw nothing. So that means
they had the Thoris, and we were just assuming
maybe, probably they have a combo, but we saw nothing.
Yeah, so it's unfortunate. Those mirror matches usually are pretty close. It's not like you necessarily have like a clear favorite there. So unfortunate for University of British Columbia. But like I said, we are going to be hopping into Game 2 pretty shortly. Hopefully they can get that internet connection working. I do like their lineup overall. I really hope they can, turn it around. They have that priest.
Yeah, I'm hoping the priest gets the win against the mage. Yeah. There's the first paladin we saw today.
Yep.
Right? Like, no self-man on it. They actually trust it to work. One of the unfortunate things is that they don't really have a matchup in which they're hugely favored anymore going forward, right? Like, they've got the Anyfin combo.
Yeah, I was going to say, since the Reno lock has the combo, they're not actually favored against it. But, all right, it looks like we are good to go. And UBC, the light color in their room has changed.
Yeah, so apparently it was a light problem. Could have been.
Look, man, it's your country. I don't understand what's going on here.
Sometimes the walls turn yellow, and then we all have to hide.
It's like some cabin in the woods stuff there, man. I don't want to hear about this. Okay, California Berkeley. Oh, sorry. Like, you can't see Nox. She's just like looking at me with this weird face. California Berkeley has the opening you want as Aggro Shaman. Stop laughing. You're here to cast. All right, so small-time Buccaneer. I don't think you keep Finley. You have the Totem Golem.
Oh, I think I might. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with keeping it, right? Because if you open up with a small-time Buccaneer, your turn 2 is Totem Golem. If you plan to hero power on 3, I wouldn't say that's a dead turn, but I'd rather just get a Finley out to get the better hero power for following turns.
Sure.
I wouldn't mind it. I think it's a perfectly fine card to keep. Now, anything can happen Paladin is not that bad against Aggro Shaman.
Not at all, actually.
It gets a lot of flack for being, just an unplayable deck on ladder, but the truth of it is, it just isn't. It's got board clears, it's got a lot of healing, and if you could just get out of that early game range, you're fine.
No, it's totally true, and you actually have tools to deal with something like Flame Wreath Faceless that a lot of other classes don't have access to, and that Alder Peacekeeper. Keeper of Oldemon isn't really seen a whole lot in this deck, but it is always on the table.
Yeah.
You can run it. True Silver Champion is just, legitimately good. Forbidden Healing gives you a wider range of how low you can go before you just inevitably die to double Lava Burst and a Wrath of Air Totem. But yeah, I actually... This was one of those matchups that when I went on my anything can happen Paladin binge, like this was actually one of those matchups I wasn't upset to see.
Yeah, it doesn't matter or upset you as much as other ones. However, one of the things that's bad about the Alder Peacekeeper on the Flame Wreath Faceless, or not bad, but rather unfortunate, is that a body on the board for Shaman is still a Flame Tongue target, and Flame Tongue in this matchup is one of the most devastating cards that comes out in the early mid game.
I was gonna say it's absolutely backbreaking if played correctly. So, Cal Berkeley has options here. They could play down the Totem Golem on this turn, play down the Totem Golem on the next turn. Yeah, but if you might also just consider Weapon, and if you play Weapon, Finley, seems like a good keep now. You fill out your curve. You're accessing a hero power that is a little bit better. And Aggro Shaman, more than, say, mid-range Shaman, isn't really necessarily utilizing the totems beyond spell power. Maybe like a Timely Taunt totem. Mid-range Totem, obviously, you have Thing from Below as a consideration. You have potentially Thunder Bluff Valley, and I know it's not run that much, but yeah. So... I do like this, just putting down as much power as possible. True Silver can't be coined out on this turn.
Right, which is, I think, the important distinction here. That's the reason they went for that play instead of the other way around, is because that way at least they can get some mileage outside of the Totem Golem, whereas if they wait a little bit too long, then suddenly they run into the True Silver, into the Consecration, and none of the minions on the board does anything. So ramping up the aggression now is probably better than later, because that way, especially with the second Totem Golem, that means the True Silver Champion has to spread itself thin between two targets over a few turns, which gives you a window of opportunity to push even more damage with patches in the small-time Buccaneer.
All right, we'll see Anyfin Paladin doing what it tends to do, which is, in the early going. Coin could have come out for Acolyte of Pain, but that Acolyte of Pain is just going straight to death.
Yeah, straight to the dumpster there. Yeah.
So it's actually, interesting how this deck tends to be constructed, because the version I was playing, because I was playing it on ladder, didn't run Tyrion. It ran an extra Mistress of Mixtures.
Okay.
Just because, you're so worried about aggro. I didn't run Acolyte of Pains. I ran Loot Hoarders. So this is kind of interesting. I had Barnes, and I had what is the Paladin Legendary? The name is...
Yeah, the Eador Aelric the Pure.
No, it's...
Wicker Flame Burn Bristle.
It's like one of those things where you hear like the Benedict Cumberbatch memes, like Burn to Dirk Cumberbooch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things, like I can never remember it.
Burn to Dirk Cumberbooch. I'll remember that.
Hey, those are some great memes. I gotta say, if you're looking for high quality memes, that's where I go.
Coral.
Oh gosh, we are showing our age now. All right, so menacing board continuing to develop for Cal Berkeley. We see Shapeshift was the power chosen, and I don't mind Shapeshift here. There is okay, jab with me a little bit, but there is a world where maybe the armor gained later on, if you're just not taking chip damage, could potentially become relevant. I mean, it's a stretch. It's a real stretch, I admit. But
so we're assuming, first Anyfin comes out, clears your board, they lose the Murlocs, and then 32 damage comes out, but you have exactly 34!
And then you don't clear because you're aggro Shaman. Then you lose anyway, but it feels cool initially. Yeah.
Or you survive one turn, pick up Lava Burst off the top, and close it out.
Got him.
Yeah. Got him.
Yeah, it makes the difference.
Well, I mean, that True Silver Champion, even though it seemed like a really good card initially, suddenly looks a little bit worse. Yeah, it seemed like it wouldn't accomplish too much. You're just taking more phase damage. Developing the weapon is worth something, though.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
This is a rough spot, because this is kind of when you would like to start seeing your equality. Just kind of reset the board. The Shaman's already invested a lot of resources, so then it feels pretty good. Gave up the coin, which I don't want to make light of, because giving up the coin when you have Pyromancer actually feels really bad. All right, so...
Oh, we've got even more pressure coming up there.
Yeah, and at this point, you're just swinging with your little toothpick claws, because you're probably not seeing spell damage ever again. And, you know, you're getting 2 damage in. You've got the Jade Claws for next turn if you want them.
Yeah, Jade Lightning also can go face, so that's a game closer very soon if things don't stabilize a little bit on the Paladin side. And it looks like that is not a stabilization card. They do have the Consecration to use here to clean up 2 minions, also finish off the Totem Golem with the weapon. But then they need some form of healing on the following turn.
Yeah, I mean, we're at the point where Cal Berkeley, you know, just drawing 1 card a turn. They're not really going to have an opportunity to draw any more cards than that. But the cards they are drawing tend to read deal X damage or...
Be a big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Jade Lightning is especially dangerous, right? I think that's actually one of the cards that when they were spoiled, I said, this could be the new Crackle. You know, Aggro Shaman kind of fell out of favor, and we had a window of opportunity where maybe there would not be a phase damage spell coming up. And maybe Shaman died off as a face class, but Jade Lightning came up, and that's another tool that let them keep the Aggro Shaman alive.
Don't worry.
You see it here.
Your deepest fears were not realized. Shaman remains a face class.
Dun, dun, dun. Now I can play it on ladder.
Yeah, womp womp. All right, so Consecration is going to come out here. Finley will stand alone on this board. All right, so if Cal Berkeley can find a Forbidden Healing...
Okay, we might have a game, right?
Well, okay, so yeah, I think we have to Jade Lightning here because Eye of Blackpaw is definitely on the menu next turn.
Yeah, I like that. Plus, it's also forcing the Paladin to have it a lot earlier than otherwise.
Yep.
Whereas if you slow down a bit, maybe you give them 1 extra draw. I haven't done the math on the damage output, but going for 2 damage here and developing the Jade Claws, even though it's correct in order to deal damage later, does not maximize damage immediately. Ooh.
Okay, so Forbidden Healing, I actually think here... Okay, so if you play the Doomsayer and you heal for 6, I don't think that's enough.
I think you're healing for 10, and next turn, if they play something, you go Wild Pyromancer, Humility on it. With the Wild Pyro onto the... with the...
Yeah.
Acolyte of Pain onto the board, that gives you a card draw on top. Or you could play Doomsayer, depending.
No, I like that line of play. I definitely think you need to get all 10 healing here. The board is not super scary right now, so you can afford to deal with it a little bit.
Right.
You know, you saw that last turn they went for the Jade Lightning. They skipped that card on the far left. So you're probably figuring... I don't think... Do you make the read its second weapon?
I think you might make the read on the far left that it's something like Forbidden Healing, right? Because they probably wouldn't have played it for 6 or 8 when they had the option of Choose Server Champions, so that could definitely be in the range of cards they have. Acolyte of Pain also could be, since there's not been a really good opportunity. You know for a fact there's no Equality Pyro. There could be an Equality alone with nothing to help it, but
sure.
even then that's a bit of a stretch.
Okay, so they kind of take that halfway play, and 12 is not really a place you're feeling comfortable, but... Ooh, so you can get rid of the Doomsayer, but I don't think you do. I think you got to save that Lava Burst, just hit face.
It's all about the second Forbidden Healing, which you have to read into. Like, what are these cards on the left? Are we talking Tyrion, Ragnaros, Lightlord?
Solemn Vigil,
Solemn
what you're hoping
right.
for.
Like, that's what you're looking at right now. Like, an Equality with nothing else. Because Equality has been irrelevant so far. Unless the Wild Pyromancer is present with it, it doesn't do anything, and you have no sight.
If you're reading really deeply into this, which I don't think they are here, then you say to yourself, okay, Solemn Vigil, if the Doomsayer procs, is actually like reasonable to play there to draw into that Forbidden Healing, but it doesn't look like they're making the read there. There's some discussion going on for University of California, Berkeley.
Yeah, they're thinking, do we play Jade Claws now to make the Eye of Blackball better later? Or do we simply hold on to it and try to set up some damage next turn? The issue is they can get lethal next turn if there's no healing.
Ooh, any Finn is a really just absurdly dead draw. You've seen no Murlocs. And to be honest, getting Murlocs in the early going is actually one way that you can make this matchup a lot better because you yourself are actually fighting for the board a bit.
Right.
And the way the Murlocs work out a lot of times, you know, you can have a War Leader and a Bluegill, and you can trade into a Totem Well, right?
Sure.
So, or you can trade into something on the board, and it just gives you a little bit more breathing room while playing into your overall win condition, because generally against Aggro Shaman, once the Anyfin combo comes out, you just win.
Yeah, the thing is you're looking for Bluegill just to kill a small-time Buccaneer. Just give me something early game that I can do with that card. Whereas now they're essentially looking down a lethal, and, you know, California spotted it right away. If they don't find some form of healing, and that is not it, Ragnaros Lightlord could do it. And that is not a Ragnaros Lightlord.
No, but he means well.
Yeah, he's cute.
Yeah.
Well, not really.
What?
Okay.
Okay.
I'll grant it. Anyway.
All right, so that is going to be game Shapeshift doing work. And yeah, this is one of those situations where the Anyfin deck just didn't get what it needed to. And that's an oversimplification, but one of my gripes with Control Paladin, like Control Archetypes or even combo archetypes like this, is a lot of the Paladin stuff is very nuanced in what it does, right? It doesn't have a lot of flexibility. Whereas, you know, when we talk again about what makes Shaman so powerful, like, look, Lava Burst does 5 damage no matter where you point it.
Right. You
like,
can aim it at a minion or face.
Yep. If you need to clear a minion, you got that. If you need to hit face, you got that. Anyfin Paladin, you know, Anyfin, you know what it can do? At 10 mana, it brings back Murlocs. You know what it can't do? Heal you.
Yeah, it can't do very much.
Yep. So, you know, Cal Berkeley got the lucky win in the first one. Let's just call it what it was. You know, the drop, unfortunately, against British Columbia hurt them a lot. So, Cal Berkeley, though, is now up 2-0 in a position to just close out the series.
Yeah. I don't mind the fact that their Shaman won, as that's usually expected in this series. Now, the question is, can 3 decks from UBC take it against Reno Mage? They've got the Reno lock. We haven't seen combo in it. So again, another one of those tough ones. Maybe there's a combo, and we simply haven't seen it. Dragon Priest, sure. I think I'm okay with that. That's a matchup you're probably happy with if you're British Columbia going into Reno Mage. Anything can happen. Paladin is another story entirely, depending on how the Alex Strazos are played.
Yep.
As that can be a pretty big detriment. You can sometimes bait it, because they have a limited amount of burn, so
but
them killing you is
can
pretty
you
tough.
jabate it?
Sometimes.
Sorry, that's just my favorite Twitch mode now, jabated.
Did you see the streamer showdown we had last week?
I did not.
Okay. At the very end, we had to make a meme, and there was a card with, you know, Trump's face on it, and Toast made a meme that read, "Trump SC overrated, America debated." Wow. That's pretty good.
Yeah, Toast is really good with that kind of stuff.
He's really a meme lord.
No, he surpassed my power years ago.
You can't do it?
Well, to be fair, I'm the first one, and he'll confirm this, that introduced him to the public. I unleashed Toast upon people. So, but he overpassed me. I was the master and he was the Padawan, but it changed a long time ago.
Okay, I was told that one of the players from British Columbia actually wrecked Toast on his way to Legend.
Well, he's not as good at Hearthstone as he is at memeing.
Okay.
So, all right. If you are looking at the situation, though, all 3 of your decks have to be Reno Mage.
Yeah.
I actually think I feel okay. I want to double check, but yeah, it's Dragon Priest.
Yep.
So Dragon Priest with that curve, you know, you can get far ahead of the Reno Mage, and then, you know, what ends up happening is if you can get Shadow Word Pain on a Doomsayer, something like that, then the Reno Mage actually has a lot of trouble. You start getting value off the 3/4 that gives health. And
right,
yeah.
They can't recover. And one of the biggest turns you can actually make in that deck is Bran into Cabal Talon Priest, get a 2/10, good luck. Then the Mage just can't catch up. As your minions with high health come down, it just doesn't stop. And Draconic Operative draws 2 cards, it's just endless.
Yeah, I would like to see them open up with that. I think that would give British Columbia
a break.
Well, I think it would give them their best shot at winning this. Let's see what happens. Okay, we are going to see Dragon Priest versus Reno Mage. Now, Doomsayer in the opening hand is an automatic keep in my mind.
Yeah, I think that's always something you keep. It's only weak to Shadow Word Pain. Granted, there are 2 copies in a lot of Priest decks, so no big surprise there when it gets Shadow Word Pain, but you still have to hedge your bets and hope that you can land that removal, and if it works, then suddenly the matchup, even though it's still bad, is not nearly as crippling.
Yeah, if you're, you know, this is the first time we're seeing Priest tonight, and if you're a little bit new to what Dragon Priest is, you know, as the name would suggest, leverages the Dragon Tribe pretty intently. And there was a really cool deck at the beginning of this expansion that Savitz was playing. And it was Reno Dragon Priest. It's a lot of fun. I still have it. It's unfortunately just not very good as the meta's kind of crystallized, but I still have it, you know, on my iPad. I still play it from time to time. A lot of fun. Obviously uses Renos and, you know, well, Reno and some scattered dragons, but this Dragon Priest is all about getting things done. It's about curving out, playing your dragons, double Draconid Operative, which is just one of the most powerful cards in the set.
Yeah, probably in Hearthstone, honestly, as a as a card for tribes. One of the things that stands out from the Dragon Priest too is just in general, it's a deck that's always been around. I feel like since the Dragon packages were introduced in the Grand Tournament with Twilight Guardian, but it's never had the critical mass of power cards that it needed.
Earlier than that, I think really Blackrock Mountain.
It tried, but the Twilight Guardian not being around, you know, that kind of crippled the Priest's ability to get anything done.
Yeah.
So once the Twilight Guardian came out, something happened. And then now with Draconic Operative, they've got this moment in the sun. They can just like absolutely work as a deck. The problem is when the rotation hits, the deck might falter. So if you like the deck, you know, get your games in now.
Yeah, definitely give it a go. It's a lot of fun to play. I know it's a little curve centric for your tastes, but I enjoy personally jamming some dragons. So
sure.
Yeah, Draconid Operative, a ton of fun. Blackwing Corruptor, another card that, you know, Blackwing Corruptor will rotate out, but it's a very powerful card with the dragon synergies. So, and yeah, this deck in specific, pretty much tops out a Dragonfire Potion. Like, it doesn't even go to Ysera most of the time anymore. It's more of an anti-aggro deck that just happens to have the ability to put down overstated minions on the board and kind of develop outside the range of a lot of removal.
It's surprising too, because as time passed, people were playing it against aggro early on they thought, oh, this is Dragon Priest, has got taunts, it beats aggro. It turns out, yeah, Patches generally just deals with you better than you deal with him. So it became like the stats revealed that the deck was actually unfavored against aggro, but rather good against some of the slower decks if you teched it properly. So that's the reason people have been playing it mostly.
Yeah, British Columbia, a little bit of a cheeky play there. Their Northshire Cleric doomed to death, sad to say. They understood they could get at least a card draw off it, which is more valuable than putting the 1 damage on Cal Berkeley. So I like what they did. They drew the card, and they have Twilight Drake, which Twilight Drake isn't an inclusion in a lot of these decks, which actually leads me to believe there might be a little bit of nuance to this that we don't see in the standard anti-aggro lists. We could actually be looking at Ysera, which usually is how it goes for top end if you play the top end suite.
So I will say one thing. I would love to see this list include the Inner Fire. We have seen Inner Fire be sprinkled in Dragon Priest recently.
Sure.
In tournaments. People have just been bringing it for surprising reasons. They just think, well, there's going to be a bunch of Reno. I lose to Reno Lock, but do I lose to Reno Lock if I slap a 3-6, make it a 3-9, then buff it up, and then hit face? Sometimes you can just steal a win that way. Kind of like a questing adventure, except you also curve out nicely with board control. So...
I like that I'm casting with you, because you're the sort of person who's like, yeah, let's just do some Inner Fire nonsense.
It's not even nonsense in Dragon Priest, but sure.
No, it's half
nonsense.
Well, it's not nonsense, but it's one of those things where, like, Inner Fire in general doesn't work for a few reasons.
Right.
Consistently.
Yeah.
Maybe in a tournament setting it's different, but you don't see it on ladder for a couple reasons.
Yeah. It's not a deck. You have to tech against something specific.
Right. So we see Mind Vision come off the Cabal Courier. It wasn't really a bunch of great choices. It was Felguard, it was Mind Vision, and then I believe there was Mana Worm.
Mana Worm at the end, yeah.
Not great. Twilight Drake though, pretty solid here.
It's gonna force a polymorph unless you play it very slowly, which happens quite often in these spots. Where you don't feel too pressured, you can just ping, let it take value. Because if it takes a value trade, it goes down to 4-5 and then it gets healed back up. If you ping it once, then it's a 6 health, and on turn 5 you can always fireball it, so it's not that big a deal.
Much like you always have to be cognizant though of Flame Tongue Totem against Priest, you always have to be wondering about Cabal Talon Priest.
Right.
Yeah.
And Powered Shield.
Yeah.
These things get bad very quick.
Right, and as the mage, you have the one polymorph, so you can polymorph a 100-100 once, and that's not a problem anymore. So, but once you do that one time, that's it. And there are other targets that might be a little better. Like Draconid Operative is sometimes just something you polymorph because it's such a big minion.
Yeah, which is why I'd be in favor of holding off like these 2 removal pieces and just playing for board. Like I'll play Refreshment Vendor here and be okay with it. If my Doomsayer lived, Shadow Word Pain may not be there. So I'm reading into this that maybe my 3/5 lives, gets to get some chip damage. I can ping over a few turns, maybe finish off the minion with a Coin Firelands Portal. There's a lot of ways this can end, but playing to your deck usually means you can get some AoE done later on.
Sure, yeah, I definitely don't mind, and I think there's a knee-jerk hesitation of polymorph or to put the fireball in there and then trade in the body of the Cabal Courier, but I don't think you're in a bad spot. So it's kind of one of those things where, to your point, it's like, oh, all right, let's see what happens here. Let's wait it out a little bit.
I think the easiest way to lose against Dragon Priest is to throw in every removal and everything that comes out.
Well, resources in general. Like they choke you out because of the overstated nature of their minions.
Well,
you got questions. What is a Loon's Will?
Killing Medivh.
Yeah, and then I just like Cabal Talon Priest and heal. Just
let's keep the pressure up, and that means if the polymorph is used here, it actually gets value because it stole a battle cry that wasn't going to go there in the first place.
The nice thing about Cabal Talon Priest, though, is it's another one of those minions where you get a cool thing off of it, but it doesn't affect the value of the body.
Right.
Like a 3-mana 3/4 is still good. Like you'd still play that.
Yeah.
It's still a spider tank.
It's kind of crazy to think, this type of minion is the type of minion that, in objective balance terms, it's like, oh, we could make this a 3/3, and then you try to play it, and it just falls flat on its face. But the moment you make it a 3/4, suddenly the deck becomes competitive, and that's something that was very well thought out.
Yeah, we see the polymorph is going to come out there, and we're going to see the ping on the Cabal Talon Priest just to make sure it gets off the board, not deal with healing shenanigans. And this is going to make a great turn, I think, for Blackwing Corruptor.
Bookworm isn't bad either, but...
Yeah, Bookworm, the 3/6 stat on that, might actually just be better.
Yeah, I think it's also a matter of being mana efficient, where you can play the Balkan Corruptor on 7 with the Nether Spite Historian or the Wormist Agent.
Sure.
So there are a lot of considerations for mana efficiency in that specific deck.
Well, okay, so one thing I do want to point out, a consideration, is that Bookworm kills Bran.
Right.
Blackling Corruptor does. And there's minor like fringe things you're thinking about, but it's kind of, what are you ever going to use that Bookworm on? And then you're thinking, okay, Bran, this is a situation where you're actually going to use it. So I do think it's worth exploring all your options, but at the end of the day, for the reasons you brought up, that's still probably just more often than not the correct play.
Yeah, you're right. There are a few minions in the deck that, I mean, Doomsayer would be one of those, right?
Yeah.
So luckily it's already gone, so you don't have to worry about that. So it makes the play more appealing, but yeah, I think you're right.
When you're using resources like that, you just have to kind of figure out, overall, again, because the damage you get from Blackwing Corruptor is just always going to be there.
Yeah, the 3 damage is always going to be static.
Yep. All right, so, and this is one of those situations where, okay, you had a minion you polymorphed because it had, kind of a big butt. You just had to polymorph. You had to make it go away. And this is another situation where another minion comes out 3/6, the stat spread, you're like, all right, now we have to fireball it. Like, as the priest player, you can start to kind of whittle out, like, okay, we're about out of ways he can deal with this. Doomsayer's gone. Like, it's probably just time to start making some Twilight Guardians, to be honest.
Yeah, it's just time to drop stuff on the board. The mage is notorious for being unable to deal with Dragon Priest board, and UBC was fortunate enough to get the 2 Twilight Guardians, that is, with the Twilight Drake, which represents some of the highest health minions in the deck.
Are you mocking me?
I mean, they haven't drawn that much, right? So these Twilight Guardians come in as high pressure. California just hasn't had much time.
Yeah, and this is the thing, right? Like, you don't get overrun in the same way a shaman overruns you.
Yeah.
But over time, you just get overrun with things you can't deal with, and you're just kind of like, welp, don't know what I actually am supposed to do here.
I like the whelp.
Welp, I didn't. That wasn't even intentional.
That was brilliant.
That's the mark of how far gone I am, that I mean when I don't mean to. Like,
okay.
Gonna be woken up in the middle of the night by my future wife, like, honey, you were memeing again, and I was like, no, I was dreaming. No.
Let's your memes be dreams.
Oh gosh, this is like Inception level now. We gotta stop.
It's all right.
Yeah, unfortunately, Cal Berkeley here, just put in a situation where they don't really have a good play. No matter how you slice it, it's just time to dig.
Yeah, I think it's time to. I mean, this is what they want to be doing too, right? They need to get a 2-for-1 at some point, 3-for-1. If they don't get any value out of the AOE, they're going to be in a bad shape. So we're looking for Blizzard. We're looking for some form of chip damage into a Flame Strike. We're looking for anything that'll help us whittle down the health of these minions to then finish them off.
All right, let's see. I think it's Mind Vision time.
Sure. Let's get Dragon Fire Potion, get rid of that 5/4.
Actually, if you play the Ooze, you have the Flame Strike. Maybe you're trying to put the Priest player into a situation where you're trying to weaken minions, but they'll probably just heal it.
Yeah,
so maybe Mind Vision is just what you do.
Yeah, I like that.
Well, what would you be really going for? A lot of the Dragon Priest cards are very much only good in Dragon Priest. Like, you can get Dragon Fire, and maybe that's not terrible, but...
I mean... Operative?
Yeah, but
if you have a dragon, if you have a Azure Drake in the deck, Alexstrasza.
Sure, you do have some dragons, so maybe you get some value. And at the end of the day, it's still a 5-mana 5/6. That stat line is like...
It's a body.
Can you imagine? We used to lose our collective minds over Chillwind Yeti.
Like, oh man, that card on Innervate is so busted.
Goodness. Can you just imagine a 5-mana 5/6, how it would have been back in like Classic? Like,
when Pit Fighter came out, I'm like, this is on the cusp of an auto-include in my Druid deck. And I played it for a while, and it was good. It was better than Druid of the Claw in some spots. And I was just like, this is good. And then, as it turns out, in the metagame, the power level of cards went up. And as it did, then the Pit Fighter seemed less and less appealing.
Right.
But there was a huge discussion on that front.
No, at some point, you and I are just going to start like the old guy's Hearthstone home, where we just sit back down and be like, you remember one Mana Shiv? Pepperidge Farm remembers.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And people can visit us and then hear stories about the olden days.
I remember the days when I wasn't safe at 14 health.
I won a tournament once. Yeah, you won with Broken Rogue, Rob. Shut up. Oh, okay.
I had Head Crack at 2 mana.
That was good, because what you would do is you would Wolf Rider Headcrack.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And then
Wolf Rider was in that deck. Kobold Geomancer. That rogue deck was so disgusting.
Yeah, Leopardome.
Yeah.
Everything.
This was
Nightblade.
I put that deck together myself. I was just like, wow, we could just get there.
Yep.
Yeah.
There was no healing deck back then, really.
Well, no, and back then, everybody in the Mana Grind Opens, they were playing like mid-range Druid, mid-range Shaman. So I actually beat Spo back in the day with just a runner sap off the top and then Wolf Rider Headcrack. It was good. It was a good time. Meanwhile, back on the board, this game is about progressing how you would expect.
extremely slowly on the mage side, and the board is being overrun with dragon-related cards.
Dragons and/or dragon paraphernalia.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Northshire Cleric, not really much help for the mage player.
Not what you wanted off that Mind Vision. Although, looking at what was in hand, I think what you basically wanted, if anything, was probably still just Dragonfire Potion, because it could have dealt with Blackwing Corruptor. It could have dealt with the Worm Rest Agent. Like, there are things it could have dealt with.
Yeah, it kills the Talon Priest, the Netherspire Historians, it kills the Brand Bronzebeard in the deck. Kills quite a few things.
Which is better than a lot of your other options. Oh my goodness. Cabal Talon Priest with Bran.
And Netherspite Historian at the same time? Oof. Yeah, sign me up.
You know what? I'll do it.
Sign me up. Tell me, where do I have to sign?
Yeah. I'm all about this life. UBC is just kind of no, UBC, come on.
What have you done? You ruined everything.
Okay, they still got some dragons. You know, they're probably saving Bran. Let's be fair in our approach to this.
Oh, I know what they're doing. They're trying to set up a Twilight Guardian, that's it. And then use the Northshire Heal to get card draw instead of setting the double Netherspite. Get it?
I don't like it. You could add 2 dragons. What are you drawing towards?
Here, there would be a moderate amount of dragons.
An appropriate and attractive amount of dragons.
A sufficient amount.
All right, you know what? I'm taking Onyxia.
Okay.
Yeah. Alexstrasza is probably better, but I'm taking Onyxia.
They're taking Alexstrasza, so...
Yeah. I think that's just strictly better. All right, so, you know, Flame Strike now is an okay play. You get rid of the 3/5 with the ping. I mean, that's your whole turn.
So the play they just made, not extending onto the board, is interesting to me because they know there's nothing in the deck that's going to clean up everything, aside from a Runner Blizzard into Flame Strike, into Volcanic Potion, let's say. Like, Blizzard into Volcanic Potion into Flame Strike. That's the only way, really, this board gets cleaned up.
Sure.
So by not extending, what they're doing is they're making sure that they're refilling afterwards. Oh, a 5/6.
Hey, that's the order of the day. The old 5-mana 5/6.
Liking it.
Yeah, Prince Balgazar, you know, obviously not much use here, but when the game starts, he does add 5 extra legendary minions to your deck. You know, for a while towards the end of the last season, I was seeing a little bit more Balgazar in Control
Reno
Warrior.
Mage?
No, in Control Warrior.
Okay.
Yeah, it was weird. It was just for like 2 days. I don't know which streamer was doing it. I actually went to Reddit. I'm like, who did this?
I saw it in Reno Mage, and I was just like, wait, what?
Yep.
What happened?
Yeah.
And then I had a blast because the game was completely wacky. Those are the types of decks that I like the most, but unfortunately when it comes to climbing ladder with Prince Balthazar, not exactly the most consistent thing you're going to do.
Yeah, when he asks you to hang out, just say you're busy that day. You know, I got a lot of things going on, like he's not on your Battle.net friends list, so you
Go
don't gotta
talk to
worry
Medivh, leave me alone.
Don't you have a mage to kidnap? Yeah, definitely Balgazar has yet to reach what I think would probably be his full potential. In a slower game, though, he definitely has a lot of upside.
So I can make a card right now that makes this card amazing. Whoa, Alexstrasza comes out right away before the Reno, trying to set up some pressure, making sure that the mage doesn't get enough time to get counter pressure coming out. That's interesting, because that would have felt very much in line with the Twilight Guardian Northshire play from last turn, but they're pulling the trigger right now.
Yeah, I think they just kind of figured they got to go. Because what you're basically saying is, okay, you have to have Flame Strike, and then you have to ping, and then you have to put the Malcazar into the Alexstrasza. And maybe the read they made because of the Firelands portal was that they didn't have Flame Strike.
Okay, sure. So the issue now is that UBC doesn't have a dragon to enable the Twilight Guardian. So we're waiting a little bit to maybe get the value we're looking for.
Now, I gotta say, there is a world where you, to your point, you just start running out of dragons, right? Like, you run out of steam, you're not pushing a lot of pressure, and you give the mage time to crawl back into this. And, you know, the board is clear now. You don't actually have very much. Like, the Brand Cabal Talon Priest represents an interesting play. But, you know, looking at what Cal Berkeley has, they have Reno, they have Manic Soulcaster, they have Alexstrasza. I mean, they're not in a terrible spot.
UBC is not going to be using the Brand with the Cabal Talon Priest. They'll simply buff the Northshire Cleric. I mean, we've seen Fireball, so of course, we know for a fact there's not going to be a kill on the Northshire Cleric for a little while. And just like that, speaking of Medivh earlier.
This is one of my favorite play sounds when you play Medivh. So good.
How much Medivh have you played?
So the thing is, I actually, when I play Reno Mage, hold on. Are they gonna play it? Do we get to hear the noise? Aw, yeah, there we go.
A game. So kind of you to join me.
I love it so much. I'm actually still playing the Reno Priest that Tice first posted back in the day.
Okay.
So it doesn't run Ink Master Soul. I've eventually slotted in Ink Master Solia, but I don't run me with it just yet. I ran Medivh for like 4 games, and I got ran over, and I was like, all right, well, Medivh, we need things that kill things.
We need to win sometimes.
Yeah.
It's still a pretty good inclusion in Reno Mage, though. Very value-oriented version, though. You know, you have the option of going for the Inkmaster Burst and everything, but you can go for the value game with Kabbalah Stone, Medivh, take your time, Courier, Ethereal Conjurer, go. Yeah, it's like, there's actually a version of Reno Priest that plays very much like that with the Discover, with Shifting Shade, and they play Museum Curator and Cabal Courier, trying to go for the Discover mechanic, which gives them a lot of value.
So we can't, unfortunately, pop the block here. I mean, you've already seen a 7-mana spell. You haven't seen a Kazakus get made yet, so maybe it's not going to be as splashy.
Yeah, you've seen the 2 7-mana spells, actually. All right, they're going to open up with the Taunt minion, making sure it has Taunt at the end of the day, because if they played the Drake and it didn't draw a Dragon, that 3/6 would not have been able to do what it did this time around.
Okay, so you can Reno back up to full health, which I'm not against here. I think maybe you start with the Arcane Intellect, and then go into your Reno Jackson, and then just start kind of dismantling the board 1 minion at a time. The 7/7 body of Reno is a big deal. You did not see it get Shadow Word deathed. Oh, Raging Worgen, not a bad pickup.
So now my question is, do you actually, because with Blood Mage, Volcanic Potion, and Frostbolt, I think you can do the clear.
Yeah, and if you do get the clear here, yeah, I don't think you're worried about anything popping the block. This is 5 damage. I mean, you haven't seen the Ysera.
We're looking at Blackwing Corruptor, I guess, with a brand play.
No, Blackwing Corruptor with Holy Nova?
Sure, that would do it. But then you
Yeah.
can always Reno, so back to full health we go.
Yeah, true. This might just be better as a more proactive play overall.
Oof.
Oh, that doesn't really matter here because it's already a 10 mana, but
It's one of those. Okay, so have you ever watched Chinese Hearthstone casting? It's beautiful.
I have not.
Okay, there's that moment when they pick up a really exciting card, say Ragnaros off the top, and it's one of those like crazy potential game swing cards where the casters just go aye, they just like get super excited. It's amazing, and then when they realize it's not exciting, just like this, we went like it was that.
Oh, we sold
Their
your promise.
version of the this doesn't matter is ayah, so it's like aye ayah. So it's amazing. It's just beautiful. I love Chinese casting.
I enjoy the cultural aspect of this project.
I just figured I'd let you know.
No, hey, the more you know. Thank you.
All right, well, we're going to be popping the block this turn. Probably.
I mean, I would hope so.
Yeah.
I would hope we're popping the block.
At 1 health, too, so...
I don't know about this play that I feel like I want to go back and watch that last Cal Berkeley play again. We're going to see the Holy Nova come out.
I'm going to pop the entire board off.
Yep.
And just like that, the Mage is going to be able to Reno all the way back up to full, even shuffle another Reno if they feel like it.
Sure.
Why not?
The Manic Soulcaster, maybe another Reno. I think, in a lot of situations, you don't see the Manic Soulcaster on the Reno.
Right.
But in this one, like, because the win condition is pretty straightforward from the Priest, which is just put things on the board, hit you until your health reaches 0, like, I don't think I mind it.
Yeah.
You don't need Kazakus nonsense. Like, you just need more health.
Yeah, 1 Kazakus Potion is enough. If you can get 1 big board that sticks around, it should be sufficient to take back the game, so...
Yeah, and it kind of feels like Cal Berkeley here might have just turned the corner. The 4/6 on Reno is kind of like insult to injury. It just full healed, and then you also just don't have a convenient way to deal with it.
Now, there's a way in which Dragonfire Potion comes out here, because that 4/6 is
Oh, yeah, okay.
kind of immune to it, right?
Yeah, you could do that.
Yeah. I mean, again, it doesn't feel good, but it might just be the only play you have. Alternatively, I mean, there's a really good Draconid Operative lurking somewhere with Brand, Nether Spite, Draconid Operative. That's going to be sick, but we're not there yet.
There's 2 of them somewhere. This is, I'm not sure how far along we are into the Priest deck, but...
Yeah. I mean, we get to push here a total of 7 damage to face, and then to use the Dragonfire Potion. Going back to the argument we made earlier about, mind control tech not finding much value.
Shadow Word Pain Unreal, like, no, gets to the right. Okay, there we go.
Still rich.
Doesn't matter, got rich. Yeah. All right, so, one way to look at this play is if you played the Dragonfire Potion, you were going to lose your Talon Priest anyway. So I don't mind what they're doing here. You get value off that Shadow Word Pain. The 4/6 Reno. Well, gosh, you have the Flame Lance.
Yeah, I mean, in this case, it's different because we see the answer, but it didn't have to be there.
Right.
So
I guess you draw a card here. You're double rich. You're good, great, and then you get the value off the Atiash. Okay, great.
Ooh, that's a 5-drop.
Yeah, that's like I said, okay, Draconid Operative is here, so now maybe we brand Netherspite Historian, Draconid Operative. Like we got to get some cards though. We got to generate some value.
Yeah, I am down for that. I think this is the only line of play that's open, unless you want to go for Dragonfire Pod. But that 4/4 on the board is going to live.
Ignore all that text where it says Battlecry on Twilight Darkmender.
It's irrelevant.
It is a 5-mana 6/5 that looks cool.
Yeah. It's supposed to be used in Cthulhu decks, but the last time I saw Cthulhu Priest, it was still losing on the ladder.
Yeah, I think the last time I saw that was Brian Kibler playing it.
Yeah,
on a stream, and then he lost like 3 games, and he was like, "Wow, let's go play Dragon Reno upside
down." Let's go back to Dragon Curse Zone.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, I think Cthulhu Priest was always trying to be Dragon Priest.
Okay, so Forgotten Torch. No, actually, I like Forbidden Flame.
Takes out 1 big minion?
Yeah, you need to get some big stuff. Blizzard's good.
Well, double Forbidden Flame.
Yeah, maybe that's actually just better.
Yeah,
oh, wow.
Double Torch is good.
So, yeah, you're putting more burn into your deck. You're giving yourself wider range.
Ooh, I'll take a Draconid Operative, my friend.
Oh, my goodness. These are the turns that just are so disgusting.
What is that? Chilma. Okay, I would have liked to see Chromagus here.
Like, Cal Berkeley's like, we got him on the ropes.
Yeah.
And they're like, but actually, no. Nice try, though.
We're not done.
We're not done yet. All right, well, you got a spell boosted Arcane Blast, so that's good. You could... I mean, Alex Strauss here is actually just one-off lethal.
I think you push it. Do you die? When do you die?
But you don't have any burn to follow it up, so you're kind of putting yourself on an island. They obviously just inherently have the ability to heal for 3. It's tempting, trust me. Nobody wants to go face more than that in action.
Yeah.
Man, if you had a coin and use ping, you just win. Where's Berkeley Bully? Where's that guy?
Yeah, that would be good.
Oh, no, we're going.
All
okay,
right.
Yeah, we're basically saying you have to have an answer for all this. And
I mean, what I like about this is they've got the 1 mana left over with Arcane Blast that's boosted up with spell damage from the Drake.
Yeah.
So that kills the brand, which effectively means on the board there's nothing to kill everything.
Maybe
so you get away with it.
Maybe you Arcane Blast the brand, you put the Twilight Darkmender into the Draconid Operative.
Sure.
And then just go face with the rest. That feels like a pretty good halfway play, and you're still pushing a lot of damage. You are basically saying Dragonfire Potion does nothing for you.
Yeah, you're basically denying the priest that you want AoE in his deck, and you're forcing him to have the Shadow Word Death, which is likely to be there, granted, and some other AoE or Blackwing Corruptor to kill the rest of the board.
Okay, so Blackwing Corruptor, Shadow Word Death.
I mean, like Shadow Word Death, Double Torch. That does it, right? You are giving back initiative, but...
Yeah, I think that's probably the way you go. And I mean, you're shuffling the 2 Roaring Torches in, and then you basically hope to not see Kazakis.
Yeah.
Kazakis is probably the way you lose this now.
And you didn't see it off of Operative either, so there's a chance it's there.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, Blackwing Corruptor would have left a body on the board, but at the same time, you are still leaving damage on the board.
Okay, we're gonna go for Chill Maw. Sure, let's get some heals in.
I mean, you got some dragons, sure.
Let's get some heals in.
Okay, so trade, Babbling Book. You know a dragon is in there because of Netherspite.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they discovered 2 of them.
Right.
There's 100% a dragon, no matter what that one is.
There is always a dragon in that hand, Cal Berkeley.
Yeah.
You trade those in.
Don't try anything cute.
Don't be cute here.
Oh my god.
Oh, we're being cute.
Oh, we're drawing. Okay, I guess we're trying to polymorph this guy.
Drawing Fireball is what we're doing.
We're trying to Pavel this.
Oh, it's a little on a 1 to Pavel scale. I give this like a 6.
Yeah. It's 6 out of 10, man.
You're not quite the world champ yet, but you're making it to the round of 8.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still though, I don't know that I like this.
Not
I think
sure
you just make the trade first.
I mean, if they trade, I mean, they know there's a dragon 100% of the time.
Yeah, which is why I'm so.
I mean, I guess ultimately they're only leaving Bran at 1 HP.
Okay, Freezing Potion might. Does it matter?
I mean, you could freeze it to kill it later.
You can freeze it to kill it later.
Whoop-de-doo. Okay, we're going to kill it to freeze it later.
I mean, you've already played your Polymorph, so it's just kind of like... This is one of those things where you got your report card from school and you know you're grounded.
Yeah.
But your dad's like, all right, I'm coming home 30 minutes later. And you're like, well, that's 30 more minutes. I'm not dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's actually just a real life story from your friend Uncle Rob.
Oh.
Yeah.
Are you
War
okay?
cards were scary things.
Are you
back in the day.
okay, Uncle Rob?
I'm good. I'm good.
I'm happy to hear that. Now, Dragonfire Potion and Forgotten Torch are looking pretty good. You finally get some value out of that Dragonfire Potion, and you can finish off that Azure Drake while keeping your 6/6 alive. Now, how greedy do you get? Do you want to extract value from that Chilmaw? What do you do?
This is a tough one. I almost feel like, okay, if you make the read, you assume, based on what has happened, that the opposing team feels like they have a way around the Chilmaw.
Right, like a polymorph of sorts.
Right, so you're kind of like the Cabalist Tome has come out, 3 spells were drawn. Like I don't think you can afford to necessarily be cute with it, right? Like I think you just you play the Forgotten Torch here, you keep your 6/6.
And you stay safe.
Yeah.
Above all, you stay safe.
Yep.
They're
Okay.
going to go for another taunt with the Warmest Agent, which again works out in a similar fashion. Chilmaw still ends up trading and killing something.
This absolutely, with the Volcanic Potion though, like this gets a little rough.
A double Volcanic Potion, sure.
Well, even just the one, like you trade the,
I mean, you could
Azure Drake?
Blizzard.
I just Volcanic Potion you.
Sure. Let the 2/4 live.
No, 2/4 doesn't live though.
Oh, yeah, you're right. The
Yeah.
Chilmaw kills it.
Yeah, so that's, I mean,
Hey, you're right. That's actually the cleanest board clear they have. Yeah, I was puzzled over the Volcanic Potion until I finally realized it would hit its own minions.
I
Thanks,
definitely don't think
Chilmaw.
you play Reno. I think you just play Water Elemental.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, the reason to consider Reno here is actually just because it's a 4/6.
And he doesn't die.
Yeah.
It doesn't die.
You do not know of anything short of Entomb.
I mean, I just want to point out that ooze. Like, what have they been waiting for?
I don't know. Everyone's really protective of their oozes.
Today is every single matchup. The ooze is valued, I feel like, way above.
Man, this
What's
is nuts.
supposed
If
to
they
do?
actually play the Reno, they pretty much get punished super hard here.
All right, there's the ooze.
Okay,
There's the
there
water
we go.
elemental. There we go. We've seen one bookworm. We've seen a Shadow Word Pain. We're down to the last few ones. It can't get that wrong, right? It can't get that wrong.
I mean, life's weird, man.
Yeah.
Life's weird. Like
Another story from
I
my
mean-
Uncle Rob.
No, unfortunately, I don't have any stories about this. But I mean, you're not anticipating double Forgotten Torch, right? Like,
No, and the worst part is once you see them played, you know they're in the deck.
yep.
And that's the spooky part, which actually
The
goes
spooky part.
I go back to the initial discovery of Chromagus, right? There was the option of getting Chromagus earlier.
Sure.
I feel like if you're shuffling torches in your deck,
Ooh, Kazakis. You've drawn a lot of cards.
don't Forgotten Torch before the Kazakus, though. Don't double torch.
Okay, I know you Kazakis. You just 100% Kazakis.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't see. I mean, you could Dirty Rat, try to snipe a Kazakus, but
But you know it's in the deck.
yeah.
Kazakis. Easy.
Kazamikis,
It's your Kazakis.
and it's enabled!
And you need it now.
Don't play double torch over the next few turns. You will
Nope.
regret it.
Just play the one. Okay, so this is where things get a little bit spicier. One minion is still on the board.
There could be a Power Blast in the deck. We haven't seen it yet.
Oh my goodness, we are close. We are 1 with the ping. 1 damage off lethal. Okay. Just going for it. And then you do this, and then you Forbidden Flame the Dragonite?
I think so. Did they call lethal? Somebody like they made a move like, hey,
Yeah,
whoa,
I think
stop.
it's like, oh, we can't count.
What is math?
What is man? Why do you...
What are you math?
Why'd you ping that? Wouldn't you just... I mean, maybe it doesn't matter.
It like you end up with a turn at 0 out of 10 instead of 1 out of 10 in your mana count. Do you?
I mean, maybe it
doesn't
just feels
matter.
better to use... I don't think it does. I was going to say, you can't ping face.
Okay, you Frost Giant. From something.
Okay, yeah, you're right. It's Frost Giant. I'm sorry.
Cabal Courier.
What am I thinking?
Yeah.
Can you even get... You can't get that.
Okay, wait. Cabal Courier
I was gonna
into
say.
something. Whoa,
Okay,
whoa.
and do something that makes a...
Frost Giant.
You know what? I like to live in a world of fantasy and make believe too, but at this point, I think you're going.
Shifter Xeris.
Okay, there we go. I'm back on. I'm back on. You get
Well-
Dark Peddler.
And then you get Shifter Xeris and Frost
yep.
Giant. There we
Okay,
go. Nailed
yep,
it.
Yep.
Nailed it.
I'm just calling it. You know, if this happens, we said it would happen. All right, here we go.
And now Kazakus is not enabled until one of the torches gets drawn from the deck. So
You know they're going to slam it. They're just totally going to just miss it. I'm calling it.
They've got 4 cards in the deck on the mage side, so not much
All right.
left there.
Dirty Rat and then Blizzard feels okay to me.
Sure, pretty
Yeah.
standard play.
Yeah, I mean they're hiding something. What are they hiding?
Kazamakis.
Did you play Legion? The WoW expansion?
I've fished in Legion. I've got a maxed out artifact with 400k to spare.
There's kind of something that's related to this, but you probably it's in Suramar. It's fine.
What is it?
It's in Suramar. It's the guards when you walk by. They
I just
what are you
die.
hiding?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's find out what he's hiding. Let's snipe Kazamakis.
Oh, Kazamakis comes
no!
out.
British Columbia is like, no, come on, man.
Not like this.
You could have played him. You chose.
They chose not to.
You chose not to value Kazakis, and you know what? Now you have been punished.
Now they're getting pinged in the face.
I like it.
Looks like they've got a lethal setup coming their way.
Ooh, Shadow Pain, pretty decent here because you just don't want to take 2 damage.
Yeah, it's pretty juicy, but the thing is now you're worried about Roaring Torch, so healing your face is optimal.
No,
That
you
means
have
you're
to heal your face.
Right, the thing is now you're leaving your minions vulnerable to AoE. You know the
Well-
potion that was played earlier from the Golden Kabbalah Stone, I believe.
Yeah, you got to be paying attention to that. You can just play a Whelp here.
Yeah, sure. I mean,
You just need to get some damage going.
get anything done. You've seen Flame Strike and Blizzard, so you're left with Nova and a Volcanic Potion.
This Volcanic Potion's gonna do work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does UBC have left in that deck? Ysera, if they're running it, that could be a big deal.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's impossible. Okay, Kazakis, Volcanic Potion, ping Kazakis.
Yeah.
Volcanic Potion, at least first.
I mean, you
and
could
then
Volcanic
Kazakis.
Potion, ping the Whelp, Frostbolt to 3/5, be done with it, and then do it later. There's no rush, really.
I wonder who's ahead on fatigue. Not that it really matters because you've got Reno.
I think the mage is. He's got 3 cards left, right?
Yeah.
2 cards. Wow. Okay, that escalated quickly. Priest is on 4.
Yeah, maybe you do have to just Frostbolt the 3/5, or else it just trades into Kazakis. And to be honest, like you also need Kazakis to like hit.
Yeah, you want it to hit at least once, ideally, right? Although
Yeah.
you do have a Roaring Torch. So, I mean, if you ping face now, he goes up to 9. If you top deck next turn, you win. So, pinging face here
Okay,
was a
we're going-
50-50 win, right?
We're going for the Kazakis, and we're making a 10-mana potion.
Okay.
We are going to do 10 damage.
Because I was
Deal 8 damage, sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, I really don't mind just pinging face, because if you put him on 7 and he heals himself, he's up to 9, and you have a 50-50 of winning right there.
Oh, yeah, summon an 8/8 demon, just go.
Oh, man.
Yeah, because you have a 50% chance to just draw Roaring Torch. next
Right,
turn.
and kill him.
Yeah.
I mean, you can still do that next turn, because he's going to
Deal
up to
damage, all
10.
minions, deal 8 damage. I like this. You don't know what's left.
I mean, you can still do it.
Oh, UBC got the Roaring Torch that Cal Berkeley wanted.
Yeah,
Unfair.
there's
Never
no
mind.
problem. It's coming up, and they'll just ping on top of it and win.
Yeah, slow and steady. It's
Yeah.
a race.
I mean, who needs a Roaring Torch when you've got a Kazakus Potion? Like, realistically.
Well, I mean, Cal Berkeley still would like a Roaring Torch. I mean, I don't need it. I'd like to have it.
That Whelp is just not putting any mileage.
No, that Whelp's out. He's called in sick.
Do they have anything to hold the Whelp for?
Okay.
50% end the game, and that is not it.
Okay, well, I guess you know you have Roaring Torch next turn.
I think I'm smorking.
I think you're just, dealing 8 damage to the face, dealing 8 damage all minions.
I'm taking that 10, and
Yep.
I'm dragging it all over to the Toronto portrait.
That is, the micro's important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you have to not hit the minion.
Drag it all the way around the screen.
Yeah, have you played on a tablet?
Yeah, I
Have you-
play on top of it a lot.
Have you had to do that
Yeah,
out of safety?
I have.
I imagine you have.
When I'm playing very serious matches, and when I wake up first thing in the morning and I don't feel like getting in the shower to go to work,
I like
I pull
that.
out my tablet, I just start playing Hearthstone for a bit, and those are because I'm sleepy. I have to take extra care
Not to mess up.
not to kill command myself. I still play Hunter, man.
You know what? I think I'm the player who tried the hardest of all the players I know to make Hunter work when the expansion came out.
Zalay has you beat.
Gonna be
Zalay's actually grinding to legend right now with Hunter, and I just have so much respect for the man. I mean, I already had a lot of respect.
Is he trying to prove a point?
I think for Zalay, it's just more about boredom.
Okay, sure. Yeah, that's totally up his alley. Just like, oh, I
Shout
don't know
out
what
to
to
Zalay if you're listening, buddy. Love your stream.
do. Love you.
Love you, Zalay. I had Korean barbecue once with Zalay.
Did you?
Yeah, I sat at a table with him, Chucky, and Striper. It was great.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, that was
I like
another
Zelay.
random old man Rob story.
Back in the days with Strife Crow. Back when Strife Crow went out.
Oh,
we saw him
I
at
saw
events.
him. I saw him at PAX.
Oh,
I actually
cool.
saw him in the airport the next day, and he was wearing pajama pants.
Of course.
Yeah, just like
With slippers.
And he's like, "Hey, Rob," and I'm like, "Hi, Kong. You're wearing pajama pants in public."
I mean,
All right.
it's kind of a common trend in Hearthstone players.
That is true. We all dress pretty terribly, but Cal Berkeley going to finish off the series. Noxious is not going to interrupt me this time, so I get to do my thing.
Yes.
Congratulations to Cal Berkeley. You know, they got the first game handed to them for free. But they did manage to ice it out. And, you know, for a while, that we talked about, the Dragon Priest can have a pretty solid matchup against the Reno Mage. And yeah, I think they played it pretty well. There was a turn specifically where they could have used Flame Strike. They went with that Firelands portal. And then we talked about the fact that they felt like, okay, there's no Flame Strike over on the side of British Columbia. So, you know, well played to California Berkeley.
Yeah, I think going back to one, like there were a few turns in the mid game where the priest could have developed harder on the board with the Northside Cleric, with the Twilight Guardian, and the brand sat in hand for a long time. Wasn't played with the Talon Priest. Didn't try to get value from board, you know, presence, and it ended up backfiring because unlike Reno Lock, there's no twisting nether. So give them high health, they're done.
Yeah, no, it was very well navigated, and you know, overall, I got to say for the three teams we saw win tonight, you know, they did a good job of understanding what were the ways they lost and kind of navigating around them.
Sure.
So, I really like what we've seen, and you know, all these teams go up to 2-0 so, on the series. Again, they only need to win 5 to make it to the playoffs portion of the Collegiate Hearthstone Championship. So, yeah, it's very exciting stuff.
Almost halfway there.
Yeah, I was about to respond with Living on a Prayer, but I stopped myself. I was like, nope, nobody in Twitch chat's going to get that reference. They don't know who Bon Jovi is.
The times are changing.
All right, so we're going to take a look at the schedule for tomorrow. Noxious and myself will be back at 5 p.m. to kick things off with Carnegie Mellon. Mellon, there we go, versus Emerson. We're going to head over to the North region for the second match of the evening, Iowa State versus Minnesota. And then we're going to end things with Washington University of St. Louis versus Carleton. I said it this time, you know.
You nailed it.
Yeah.
I was going to say Woostel.
Woostel.
Yeah.
That'd be a weird name for a school.
Moostel. I think the weirdest thing is that Carnegie Mellon actually has the Elven word for friend in their name.
All right, so Noxious, 3 games in. We're done with the first night.
Yeah.
I want to turn to you. Final thought. What do you think? Yeah, this is serious. I'm putting you on the spot.
Go.
What is your final thought this far? How did you, of all these teams, which team do you think really stood out the most to you?
I'd say the winners of the first series with the with Jostra, you know, at the wheel. That was one of the best series I've watched in a long time. Just especially in like the current environment, which a lot of people say, oh, everything's figured out, the games are kind of stale. The truth of it is that series was just great. You know, the Rogue just getting it done with 30 cards exact lethal. That was magnificent. And then we had the mirror match of some of the slow matchups. That was really cool to watch.
Yeah,
really liked it.
That was a really good series overall, and you know, even the second 2 matches of the night, the 3-0s, look, even though that last one had a DC in it, I think overall they were entertaining matches, and it's cool, you know, as our part as casters to kind of look on these matches, and you know, we're in real time saying like, okay, these are the different things that could happen. This is where things could go wrong, and then it's very satisfying to watch the players also kind of recognize that, and as a team come together and make the correct choice. But that is going to do it for all of us here from the Collegiate Hearthstone Championship. Once again, if you're out there and enjoyed watching, hit us up on social media at facebook.com/Team Tespa. Hit us up on Twitter at Team Tespa. Thank you so much for your questions tonight. We obviously have a lot of fun answering them. It's fun to talk Hearthstone. But yeah, that is going to do it for us. Sponsors, thank you so much for making this possible. Want to shout out to Twitch, Gunner, and Steel Series. You know, without them, events like these just aren't possible. So thanks to everyone who makes Hearthstone possible. But Noxious, any final thoughts for the evening?
No, just eager to come back tomorrow, see what the other teams from the other schools have in store for us. Probably a lot of the similar matchups or lineups, but overall, see how well they play them.
Yeah, we did see a pretty good diversity in terms of decks. So once again, guys, thank you all for coming out. Hope to see you back at 5 p.m. And thank you so much for watching.